Hi, Minh Ha. Thanks for coming on TBH Beyond Borders.
Yep, thank
And this is actually the second time we're recording this podcast. The first time we
Yeah.
recorded was pretty great, but it didn't get recorded. So
It's alright.
thanks so much.
That's why we have the second conversation.
So hopefully this will be much more interesting because there's so many things that came up from the last podcast
Yeah.
that I have follow-up questions on. So you're Nguyen Minh Ha. That's your full name.
Yeah. It's
So-
Nguyen Minh Ha.
Nguyen Minh Ha.
Nguyen.
Nguyen.
It's not N, it's Ng.
No.
It's like N and G, but like the combination.
Nguyen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nguyen Minh Ha.
I think because I'm from India, this is like some sounds are really hard for us.
I
some
think like yeah, the sound is hard for everyone except Vietnamese. So
yeah. So please, I apologize if I screw up your name or any other Vietnamese names that I'm going to bring up.
okay, it's
Yeah.
alright.
So, but how about this? Nguyen Minh Ha. I think I'm doing it worse than before now.
No, it's okay. It's better than the first time.
Okay,
So.
thank you. So yeah, the reason I bring that up is because one of the Nguyen dynasty was actually the last ruling family of Vietnam. So I wanted to ask you if you are a part of the dynasty.
So actually, I'm not because a lot of Vietnam has the last name as Nguyen,
Okay.
but the Nguyen dynasty they changed their last name into a different one, so like people can differentiate them with the normal people.
That's really interesting because so basically they were the Nguyen dynasty because they noticed that a lot of normal people were also with the surname Nguyen. They just changed their surname to stay distinctly cooler. Like they wanted to preserve their royal image so much
Yeah.
that they chucked their entire dynasty name because it got too common, and then they just got a new one.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's just a way like to show that they have the royal.
So what is the surname now?
So it will depends on the gender and the level. So I'm not very sure about that.
Yeah.
But normally, like it should be tôn nữ or tôn nam. It's like tôn nữ is like for the females and
Okay.
tôn nam is for the guys.
Okay.
But like it also depends on the levels of you in the house. Like-
So like the higher power you
yeah,
have.
like the elder will be like a different one.
Okay.
Yeah, depends on the generation.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure about that. So.
So what you're saying is that you're not part of the Nguyen dynasty.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because you know what I thought? Like, if I was a part of the Vietnamese royal family, what is the best way? Like, you know how like you see in movies that these like royal family kids, they're like so tired of being royal, they just like go to another country and try to live
yeah.
in the disguise of a normal person. I think this is this could be possible, right? Like you coming here, no one knowing about you.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it's cool, but, like, it's, like, it's just cool if you are still the royal, but
So you're
the-
not.
Like, to me, I'm not
Because I-
really... Yeah, I'm not.
I think you are.
It's like my mom families.
Yeah.
They had a little bit of the Lei dynasty.
Right.
So, yeah, I have a little bit of the
But it's
royal.
there. It's
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
yeah, because I want for not even for your sake, for my sake, I want you to have some kind of royal blood because like I want to have known one of the royal members of the Vietnamese families. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, now you know one.
Okay, thank you so much.
No worries.
Do I have to like address you as something above or anything? Like I don't want to be rude.
It's okay.
It's okay, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Have I insulted you yet?
No.
No. Okay. I'm safe, right?
Yeah, you say.
I will be alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I was reading about Vietnam, and I was reading up about the city that you grew in. I don't want to screw up the pronunciation, so I want you to go first.
Okay, so I'm from Hanoi.
Hanoi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanoi.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really
Hanoi.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I find it really interesting because in 866, Hanoi was called Long Bien.
Oh, it's not Long Bill.
Okay, sorry.
It's Thăng Long.
Tang Long.
Yeah. It's like the dragon fly up to
Yeah.
the sky.
Yeah. And I just felt like it was a miscarriage of justice for people to change the name of the city that originally stood for something as awesome as dragon flying in the sky. Like, if Mumbai meant, like we changed from Bombay to Mumbai, But if Bombay meant like dragon flying in the sky, we wouldn't change it.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so
I think like the name, like the Thăng Long name, it has the meaning.
yeah,
Because when like there was a king who at that time Hanoi wasn't the capital.
yeah,
So the king wanted to move from Hue City to Hanoi to make it the capital.
yeah.
But then he saw a dragon fly to that way or something. I think like when he visited that city and
Yeah.
like, he saw a dragon fly into the sky.
Yeah.
That's why he named that city Thăng
Ah.
Long.
So, sorry, to get this straight, like, so he wanted to change the capital to Hanoi,
Yeah.
what is now Hanoi.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then it was one time when he was visiting it before he made the decision.
Yeah.
And he saw the dragon.
Yeah.
And it's a sign. So like he
That's
just-
cool. That's really cool.
know.
Yeah. Like it's very like it's like Harry Potter meets Pokemon meets like it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Myths and fables
Yeah.
and basically literature in Vietnam is something I want to get into a little later because it is interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so much to ask you about concerning Vietnam because I forgot I never mentioned that you're from Vietnam.
Oh yeah.
You're the Vietnamese
Hi
student
guys, I'm
ambassador.
from Vietnam.
Sorry, I'm really bad at like starting podcasts.
Okay.
Something that I find similar between Vietnam and also India, where I come from, is that both of our countries are in ways they were colonized by different other nations, and every time that happens, that in countries where there has been some history of colonization, there's a lot of influence that they leave behind. Where, like, in my country, I see a lot of influence from the Britishers. Like, there are parts of my country where people genuinely just speak French. Or there's just Portuguese architecture. So, one of the same similarities that we have is that even Vietnam was colonized by the French
Yeah.
for some time. In the present day Vietnam, are you still able to see some kind of influence that is left behind by the French?
Yep. So I think like there is some of them, but
Yeah.
it's not much.
Yeah.
Because it's more about like the generation of my parents or my grandparents that they maybe some of them know how to speak French or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
But like to our generation, there's not many people who know that unless they learn how to
Yeah,
speak
yeah.
French. But I think like the interesting thing about Vietnamese history is that the culture of Vietnam is very affected by China.
Yeah.
Because in the history we had like 1,000 years being colonized by China.
China, yeah.
And then after that will be like French and America.
America, yeah. I understand why there is like a reducing influence that was left behind by the French, because then the Americans came in, and that is something that is very popularized in pop culture, wherein like if you ask globally, or especially if you ask in America or actually even India, if you ask us about Vietnam, one of the more popular references or ideas we have about Vietnam is because of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because like it's very interesting because like when I came here and I just realized that everyone call it Vietnam War.
Yeah.
But in Vietnam, it would be called like it's a war that Vietnam fight against America or
Yeah.
fight against French because they invaded us.
So this is really interesting that to add on what you're saying is that while everyone else calls it Vietnam War, it's only descriptive of how much influence the America has that we all call it Vietnam War. However, I was reading the Wikipedia page and they were really cheeky about it. They were like, Vietnam War, or also known in Vietnam as the American War. And it just hit me because it's like, oh yeah, it's not the Vietnam War, it's also the American War, but we just don't consider that for some
Yeah,
reason.
that's really true because I think like it's not only about like how Vietnamese fight with Vietnamese,
Yeah.
but it's more like because the South was colonized by America,
Yeah.
and like the North part was supported by Soviet Union.
Yes.
So it's more like that two kind of powers.
Yeah,
fight.
it was.
It's just like Vietnam is a place for
I
them to
actually
fight.
don't want to get into
Yeah.
geopolitical conflicts,
It's
but
too much.
yeah, but I will say one thing that what happened in Vietnam, and I'll agree that I'm very ignorant and I don't know a lot, but what I've read about what happened in Vietnam is that it was basically a war between the Soviet Union and America, but through y'all. Does that make
True.
sense? Like, it was basically
Yeah.
Soviet Union and America fighting each other, but they weren't directly fighting.
Yeah,
It's just like
it's
fighting
indirectly.
indirectly. Yeah,
They
it was
just
like
like provide power and knowledge.
yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
It's interesting because something very similar is happening currently in Yemen, which is just south of Saudi Arabia in the Middle East, wherein so Saudi Arabia and Iran are two countries that don't like each other. Just very simply, they don't like each other.
Okay.
So what is happening is that there is a conflict under Yemen, which is that there's the government and there's the House of Rebels. Basically, it's very similar to North and South Vietnam,
Okay.
in a sense, yeah.
Uh-huh.
The Yemeni government is funded by Saudi Arabia
Okay.
and also America,
Yeah.
and the House of Rebels is allegedly supported or helped by Iran. So it's
Oh.
very, it really like, there are so many similarities in that sense with what also happened in Vietnam, is that there are like different nations fighting,
Yeah.
but a third nation is suffering.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to get too detailed into Vietnam War with respect to Vietnam, but like, do you think it's unfair that the Vietnam War is the only thing that people know about Vietnam?
I think, yeah, Vietnam. I mean, like, people not only know about Vietnam because of the Vietnam War, but also most of them know about Vietnam because of Vietnamese food.
Oh yeah, also
And, yeah.
Vietnamese. Yeah. Sorry.
So yeah, there's a lot of things about Vietnam. I think because most of them is about the culture.
Yeah.
It's not only the cuisine, because yeah, of course Vietnamese food is good. Like that no one can deny
Yeah.
it. Oh my god, I love Vietnamese food. But the other one is like the tourist attraction. So we have a lot of like cultural sites or natural or heritage.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places to visit in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Even like we are a very small country compared to India
Yeah.
or like Australia, but there's so many things to
Yeah.
do, and yeah, you'll love it if you visit Vietnam.
Which is something I also want to come back to. But basically in 2013 or 14, I was like, hey, I want to like travel somewhere. So I went to one of those TripAdvisor type websites. And I was like, hey, best cities to travel. And I think the fifth or the fourth was Hanoi.
Oh, okay.
Because that's how I know. Because sadly, we didn't learn a lot about Vietnam in geography. We knew where it is. We knew it was a country, but we didn't really learn about the individual cities or states. But one of the cities that I knew of before meeting you was Hanoi, which is also where you're from, is because that is one of the places I wanted to go to. Yeah.
You definitely should, because I think like in Vietnam, Hanoi and even like the north and the south part are very different.
Yeah.
And even like because we actually divided into three parts. We also have the central part, which
Yeah.
people don't talk about much, but it's actually the place that had the most beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like if you want to visit the sites in Vietnam, have to go there. But I think like to Hanoi is more like a cultural city,
Yeah.
because I think like more than 1,000 years old.
Yeah.
So it's very old
Because there's
city.
so much history and so many ruling families have admired Hanoi. But also, you mentioned that there are two, there's the north and the south, but there's also a third part which is less considered, which is the middle part.
Yeah.
So do you think that because the north and the south were kind of on different sides, do you think there's like a very major difference between the north and the south Vietnam now, like in present day?
I think so. Like in the sense, I don't think that people are very different,
Yeah.
but the difference is like the culture and the histories. Because, like after all, the South are still influenced by America
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
So they have maybe like in terms of religions, they have like Christian and
Yeah.
a lot of people who. Because I'm not so sure about that. I heard about that, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had some friends who like that.
Yeah.
But then I think that in the north it's more traditional ways,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's more like the Chinese side. It's like a lot
Yeah.
of Buddhism and
It's nice you mentioned the religion aspect of it, which is that in the south there is Christianity is prominently seen. However, overall, one of the most leading religion or religious views of the people in Vietnam is actually the Vietnamese folk religion, which does not really believe in organized religion. It just believes in like praying or meditating.
I think like it's more about like the moral things.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's not very like religions, because I think like religion, they have rules and stuff, and that what we follow. But like to the folk religion, it's more personal.
Yeah.
It's like it depends on how you interpret that.
Yeah.
Because we have some like qualities that are qualified as good, and those are qualified as bad. So we just like, it depends on how we interpret all of them, and we act in our own way, I guess.
And that, would it be fair to say that Vietnam as a society or as a nation is not quite controlled by religion, right? Because
no.
People have different beliefs. People have their own independent way of seeing things.
Yeah, I think like that's a very different thing, because when I come here and I see people have a lot of different religions, I was like, I was pretty surprised at first, because like in Vietnam no one has religions, and the only thing that like the most religious things we do is like we just go to pagodas or something, and like so it's something that's very interesting about like the differences between culture, because in some country like India, you have a lot of religions.
Oh,
and I was like, oh my god, why?
Plus, it's not just that we have a lot of religions. See, that's the beautiful aspect of it, is that there are so many religions. That means there are so many like different cultures, and it's crazy and it's overwhelming, but it's so beautiful that like.
That's true.
Yeah, there's so much knowledge. There's so much information. There's so much like different beliefs and different gods and different stories of those gods, and it's amazing. But also towards the negative side is that India, I would say, is also a country that is very easily controlled by people who use religion in a wrong way.
That's true.
And it was really interesting that Vietnam cannot have that problem, because people are so independent about what they believe in, and in a religious viewpoint.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Yeah.
So
I was reading a lot about Vietnam and Vietnamese culture. And one of the things that I noticed is that which is also something I've told you, is that your flower, your national flower, is actually the pink lotus.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's
you should know.
I know it. This is the second time we talk about this, but so we share the same symbol, like the flower symbol.
The only thing is you have a pink lotus and I have a lotus.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the lotus that we have is also pink. I don't know if there's a difference there.
Yeah, it's good. Like we share some similarities.
We share some similarities, So, speaking about culture and religion, one of the other things that I want to touch upon are the legends and the myths in Vietnam, because I think those are really interesting.
Okay. So, so Vietnam, because like Vietnam based on myths and legends, so we have a lot of stories around that.
Yeah.
And one of them, I think like the very popular one, is related to the turtle of Hoan Kiem Lake and the turtle tower or something.
So,
but
turtle as in like the...
It's in Hanoi. So it's a lake in the middle of Hanoi.
Okay.
And it's called Hoan Kiem. In Vietnam means return the sword.
Yes.
Yeah. So you heard about this before, but
yes.
I already told
No,
you.
definitely. I love the story. Please go ahead. Yeah.
So back in I think like 15th century or something, there was at that time there was the Ming Dynasty from China was invading Vietnam, and one of the royal people back then was King Lê, and like he tried to fight back, but it was very intense because like the Chinese army was more powerful.
Yeah.
But then like when he was in a runaway, he the turtle from the lake just appeared and it gave him the sword.
Yeah.
So he can fight back.
Yeah.
And by using that sword, he won the game.
Oh, he defeated the Minh Dynasty's army. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, when like everything, like he became the king and like everything become like peaceful and stuff.
Yeah.
He come back to the lake and then returned the sword to the turtle, and after that, he named that lake become Hoan Kiem Lake,
which is the return of the sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like even like the turtle still live until 2016.
Oh.
Yeah. So she just died.
Oh.
Yeah, we were all so sad, but yeah.
That's amazing. That's like So as a child, like as growing up, like I said, I mentioned the British influence in my country and in my city is because that I was under a Jesuit school which was built by the Britishers, and like I read in my like school days, I read a lot about like westernized or European fables, like King Arthur.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that like fables and myths and legends from other countries don't get that much appreciation or exposure because they're awesome. Like this is like a total like the Ming like this is 300 the Spartan movie mixed with King Arthur. Like this is great. Like you know
Yeah.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but this guy, he was facing this huge army, and you know
Yeah.
he's obviously going to lose. Then your turtle from a lake gives him a sword, and he kills everyone, and he returns the sword. And now that turtle was alive till 2016.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Because like when you know like there is something from the past,
Yeah.
it still keep going with
Yeah.
us until like recently.
Yeah.
But it's really good. Like
It's nice you mentioned turtles because I have one of the things that came into my head when you were mentioning the story was that so in my place of worship, there's a turtle, and especially when I was like smaller, there was a tortoise that was roaming around the area, the temple area.
Okay.
And it's a very my place of worship is extremely old, and there's a lot of culture and heritage, and like it's very symbolic in that sense that there are so many years that that place has been here, like not thousands, but hundreds of years, maybe even thousands. Sorry,
Okay.
but it was really nice because I was looking at the turtle, and I was just thinking about how many people have come here that the turtle has seen because it's been there for hundreds of years. That tortoise,
yeah.
like the lifespan is so huge.
Yeah.
So I was just I don't know. As a kid, I was just always wondering like.
Do you want to become a turtle?
I actually want to because
Okay.
imagine it's just like turtles are amazing. Like you know,
That's
every
true.
time I'm outside, I can't wait to go home. So if I'm a tortoise, I just go back home just immediately because I'm on a shell, and I can just
Okay.
like move around and look at people.
Okay.
That's
okay.
amazing. Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, but that's true. Because like it can witness so many things happen
Yeah.
from the past until
Yeah.
now.
So yeah, turtles are awesome.
Yeah.
That was a really nice story, and I wish more Vietnamese legends came out to the internationally. Like we knew more about it
Yeah.
because they're fun.
Yeah, that's true.
One of the things that are related to both culture and kind of a legend, like to give the listeners a context. There's something I'm really interested in theater, but one of the art forms that are practiced in Hanoi, especially, is the water puppetry. And you've told me about this, but do you want to just for the people listening, do you want to talk about that again?
Yeah, sure. So, like, water puppetry is like one of the very traditional performance
Yeah.
in Vietnam, and it's not that popular, I would say, because like I'm not the kind of theater fan. And
How
so,
dare you?
But I mean, like, there's so many theater platforms. So
Yeah.
I just can't go to everyone.
Everyone, fair enough.
But like, at least I have watched it for twice
Yeah.
in my life.
Yeah.
And I think like it's very interesting because I think Vietnamese culture is very focused on storytelling.
Yeah.
So every performance will have their own stories.
Yeah.
And some very specific characters.
Yeah. And so this water puppetry, like how does it work? Like, is it from
So
are the puppets in water?
So I think like basically they have like the water surface.
Yeah.
But then there will be some people who adjust them from behind.
Ah, okay.
And basically it will be like it look like the puppetry on the water.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was reading more about water puppetry, and one of the characters that often comes up and is like a character that is used in a lot of stories is the Chu, and I ruined the pronunciation.
I don't really remember this but it's like I'm not sure the second one
But
because
basically it's this a character that he's often in a lot of stories, and he's like a famous character. But I like this character because the character was defined, like people describe this character as someone who's always making jokes, who's making like witty comments about the government and like about the system, and like he's always also making people laugh, but also making people think about what's happening around by making these witty satirical comments. And I was like, this is the guy I want to be. This is exactly the guy I want to be.
Yeah, so I think like this, like it stems from the culture of Vietnam. Is that because many Vietnamese back then was farmers.
Yeah.
So what they do is just like wake up early and work, and so there's a lot of stressful in life. So how they deal with that is like they very value humor.
Yes.
So all of our stories have like the humor factors in that. So that's why like people love those characters that can bring people laugh. Yeah.
And I think that's amazing because both of our countries, we've been agricultural, and both of our countries haven't been really, not in the recent 100 years, we haven't been quite flourishing. We've been developing, we've been struggling, and it's amazing that in your country the culture is that yes, life sucks sometimes, but humor is still valued. And so actively valued, and I think that's amazing because back in my home, maybe not to that extent, but we really we really know how to laugh in the face of pain, you know. And when things go wrong, we know how to laugh about it.
That's true, because like it's basically the history of all Vietnam, because like Vietnam is built based on wars. It's not only Vietnam War, but there's so many wars before then. So what people just like they fight and they laugh.
Yeah, you know, that's actually a good motto. Like Vietnamese tourism, if you're looking for a motto, we fight and we laugh. That's a great motto.
Yeah.
Also, we spoke earlier about how Vietnam is only known globally for the Vietnamese War and food. And we've already touched on Vietnamese War, and I feel bad that I did because I'm only propagating the thought that everyone has that Vietnam is basically like all about Vietnam War. That's all they have. But I'm hoping that this podcast in general helps touch on a lot of other factors, culture and people, that let people know that Vietnam is not just Vietnam is more than just the Vietnam War and food. Having said that. Food.
Okay.
So Vietnamese food is obviously it's a huge deal. As someone who comes from India, and Indian food is a huge deal also.
Yeah.
You know, game respect game. I respect you.
Okay. Yeah. I like Indian food.
Fair enough. I would say I would like Vietnamese food if I was non-vegetarian. But I know it's a good. I know Vietnamese food is good.
There's a lot of vegetarian Vietnamese food.
Oh yeah, tofu.
Come on.
Sorry.
Like I mean, like because my grandmom, she's follow Buddhism.
Yes.
So she ate vegetarian in some special occasions, and every time in those occasions, she made vegetarian food herself, and oh my god, I love them.
And you know what is first of all, sorry, your grandmom is awesome, because she's not just because she's vegetarian. I also have to say that this is embarrassing that one of the things that I eat at university, which is like almost every day, is a Vietnamese bread roll.
Oh, okay.
And it's really sad that I forgot that I eat Vietnamese food on a daily basis.
Oh. Oopsie.
Sorry.
It's okay. Now you remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that? Like,
it's amazing. That's why when you said there's vegetarian food, tofu popped into my head because that's what I eat almost every day. It's Vietnamese tofu vegetarian bread roll.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
That's true.
And one of the really nice things that you had mentioned about the food culture in Vietnam is not that just the food is awesome. By the way, what is if you have to recommend people who are listening and who want to dive into Vietnamese food, they want to try Vietnamese food, what is like the one dish that you think people should definitely try?
Okay, I can't answer this question because I mean, like, there's so many food. I literally say there's like it's so many and it's so diverse.
Yeah.
There's nothing the same. So what I recommend is come to Vietnam and have a food tour.
Yeah.
Because like normally when I was in Vietnam, I used to have a food tour with my friends. It's like I come from 2 p.m. until 7 p.m. and we just eat.
Yeah.
Eat and walk, of course, because like we need to digest the food. But it's like there's so many food, and the good thing about them is that they're all very cheap.
Yeah.
So cheap. And the serving is very small, so you can eat a lot of things in the same time.
So I'll just clarify for people who don't understand what a food tour is, because at first I didn't understand it. But basically what Minh Ha is talking about is that in Vietnam there's a prominent culture to go to different places, to go to one place, have something, but the serving will be really small, and then walk to another place, have something, walk to another place. So basically it's a tour and you're having food, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I wish a lot of like other countries also had this, because like the food is relatively cheap in Vietnam, so you can have as much as you want without really worrying. And there's also so much variety, but also the sizes are small, so you can have a little of everything.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really surprised that other countries haven't really started like food tours. Like it's amazing. Like just go to like from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock, just go to different places and eat everything.
That's the way we hang out.
Yeah, and still have money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, that's really good.
So when you do your food tours with like with your friends, like how regularly do you do them? Like how frequently do people? Is it like a once in a week thing, or people can do it like every other day?
Well, so it really depends. But I think like Vietnamese young people hang out a lot.
Yeah.
We go out like every day, every single day. So it really depends. But like because food tour will need us to walk. Like normally we will do food tour in the old quarter, which is the center of Hanoi.
Okay.
So there's so many traditional food there.
Yeah.
And they're so good. So like it's not a very the thing that we do every day, because it depends on where I live.
Yeah.
But normally we just like eat everywhere. It's like every day we eat. I mean it's not like have breakfast, but I mean like hang
you're
out.
describing people's dreams. Like
I mean like we hang out and we have food. And you know what? Like in Vietnam, the coffee shop and milk tea shop is a culture now.
Yes.
And like people have milk tea or like have coffee every day. Yeah. And there's so many beautiful coffee shop, and like people just go there to check in.
Yeah.
Take photos.
That's amazing. Also, there's so many similarities. Two main similarities that I've noticed with respect to food is not only is it diverse, but so in India or in my what we have, it's hard to explain. So basically there's India, but there's also like different states. My mom is Gujarati, and one of the dishes that they have, and because like every different religion and every different culture will have different food or different style, or one of the things that we have is the Gujarati thali. And what that basically means is that it's like a huge dish. It's like a huge plate. It's like a platter, but it has like small individual bowls in it and small individual mini dishes in it. So it's essentially what you explain, which is like you go to different places and have a lot of stuff and a diverse range of stuff. But what we have is that same thing, but we have it in one big plate, and we have like small things of everything. So you can have like 30 different things in small quantities.
Is that like buffet?
See, it's a buffet, but like in a buffet you have to go to different places and get it.
But you have everything.
Everything is already there. Like people will give you this huge plate. Sometimes it's also a buffet thing where they'll first give you like an empty huge plate, and then they will come around the table and ask everyone if they want, say, A, and you can choose to take A or not. Then they will ask for something like B, then C, then D. Like it's also, but a lot of times it's all already served. A lot of times it's just like people will come with like 4 or 5 different things at once, and you can choose whatever you want. Because what if like say there are 24 things in the plate, or 30 things in the plate, and what if you don't like 5 of them? So then that will go to waste.
Yeah.
So the newer system is that people just like walk around with that particular thing, and you can choose if you want them to put that into your dish. And it's like.
Really interesting.
Yeah, it's essentially a Vietnamese food tour if you hate walking.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the similarities.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and the second similarity that I found is that you mentioned that there are small stalls or like for tea and milk tea. That is also something that we have a lot of in India or at least in Mumbai. Is that like tea stalls, and not as much as coffee, but mostly tea.
Okay.
We're huge on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you like it's a part of people's daily lives and routines to a fact that now it's a culture. Like going and having tea with your friends or colleagues or co-workers twice a day or once a day is just like it's just a way of life now.
Yeah.
And it's nice.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah, and also food is cheap for us, so yay, yay. Speaking of food and speaking of, I can understand that you can't decide on a favorite dish, which is fair.
Okay.
But there is one that I know of, and the reason I know of that is because Obama came to Vietnam to along with I think Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but yeah.
With him.
Yeah.
To eat that dish.
Oh my god, that's my favorite. Like.
No, Minh Ha, I asked you what your favorite is. You're like, oh,
no,
I can't decide.
But everything is my favorite. Sorry.
Okay, but this is also your favorite.
Like even pho. I love pho. Oh my god. And yeah, it's called bún chả.
Bún chả.
Yeah, bún chả.
Bún chả.
Yeah. So bún is like a kind of noodle. So we have a lot of different noodles. So it's really hard to remember all of them. But it's like some kind of rice noodle. And chả is made by pork. But we will have two types of pork. One is like the normal pork. But the second one is like the pork mince and then make into the very little circle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we eat it with sweet fish sauce.
Yeah.
And then lettuce and a lot of herbs.
A lot of
herbs?
Herbs, yeah.
So, yeah, basically that's all.
So that was, that became really famous. Like that's one of the things that I remember reading about is that...
oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like to me, we have it like every noon for lunchtime. Because like when I was in Vietnam, because my school and my house wasn't near, so like I couldn't come home to have lunch. So I just like hang out with friends and have lunch. And like we just eat so much. Oh my god.
And it's really nice. You also mentioned that how people meet almost every day. Is that I find that in your culture and also in my culture, being social is a very prominent part of it. Like Indians, I feel for most of it are really social. Like comparing to say lives here or how social scenarios work here. Like back home, we are extremely social. We'll meet almost every day. We'll meet all the time. We'll meet in like. There is really, like, we don't really care about personal space a lot. We just, like, meet all the time.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Hey, I saw you an hour ago. I'm happy to see you again. Like,
that's true.
Yeah.
I feel like it can be, like, a part of the Eastern culture.
Yeah.
Where people, like, is more value the community or something.
Yeah.
So, like, they prefer to hang out with each other.
I also, one of my ideas for why that is the case is also the population. I feel that
there's so many people.
There's not only there are so many people, but there's also like both of our countries are. Again, I might be wrong, but at least I'm not sure about Vietnam, but at least India and most Asian countries are so densely populated. Is that
Vietnam
what are you can't so you can't ignore people. Like you have like it makes sense that we are like social because what are you gonna do? Like even if you want to hide, where are you gonna go? There are people everywhere.
Yeah. There's people everywhere. You have to talk to them.
I think like comparing people in Vietnam and people here and social scenarios there and here brings me to my next topic, which is Brisbane in Australia and your life here.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Brisbane and how has your experiences been here?
Brisbane is great. I love Brisbane. Like before I come here, I'm not like a very... I didn't expect many things.
Yeah.
Because I know like... I can imagine like how Brisbane is. But when I came here, what I love here is like the vibe and the energy that this city brings. Because it's a very young city and there's so many events just like happening all year round.
Yeah.
We have like... Because like we are in the same program, the Brisbane International Student Ambassador Program.
Yes.
And it's like we have events every month.
Yeah.
And that is the best thing. Because like you will never get bored.
No.
There's always something going on.
And I think that is important. Not only is the city very is hyper in the sense that there's so much going on, But for us, especially as international students, it's also important for us to be a part of that and get inside, like get into as many activities or events as possible, because otherwise it can be a very like a scary place to be alone.
Yeah, that's true.
So not only is it great that Brisbane is so active and it has so much going around, but it's also important for us to be involved.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is also the thing I really like about here, because this is a very multicultural city.
Yes.
And they really value that.
Yeah.
So everyone, it's really easy to get involved with all of those stuff.
Yeah, and I think this podcast is a good example of how multicultural this city is because I'm able to have friends from 22 countries. I know there are 23 in Brisbane International Student Ambassador Program, but I'm not counting Ali.
Oops, poor Ali.
But yeah, it's great. Yep. And also not just the program itself, but in general, like at university and at all the places that I'm involved with, or all the groups I'm involved with, I've had the opportunities of meeting so many different people from different backgrounds and experiences. It's really nice. It's really nice. Yeah.
That's really interesting.
So you go to QUT, which is where we currently are.
It's a university for the real world.
Okay. Look.
Okay.
I'm from UQ. I don't want to start fights here.
Okay, yep.
But I'm just saying, our universities are kind of rival universities.
Okay.
There's, you know what, I don't like QUT because, like I'm from UQ and I'm a rival to QUT.
Hey, I like UQ, even though I'm from QUT.
But.
Okay.
Even though the rivalry exists, I do follow QUT's page.
Oh, okay.
And one of the reasons that I follow their page is because you write on their blog.
Oh,
and I get to know about that, yeah.
Okay.
So I want to speak about your blog because I'm a huge fangirl of your blog.
Okay, thank you.
And first of all, please write more. Second, because I've read everything that you've written, now I want more.
Okay. Yeah, because I had a lot of assignments, but I'm pretty free now, so I will start working on it.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
And second, that in the blog you mentioned that when you came here, you write about your experiences of coming here from Vietnam, and especially when you first came here. You mentioned how you actually spend your time here when you're free, recreating dishes or food preparations that are very similar to what your family or what you would get in Vietnam, which I thought was really sweet and emotional, and also something I would relate to is that wanting to recreate the food of your home in a different hemisphere, just to get that feeling of nostalgia and being here.
Yeah.
I think that made me cry a little bit.
Oh my god. Yeah, but that's a really good thing because, like, to me, I love cooking, even though I don't like washing after that and like cleaning is it's not my thing. But I love cooking, and I often, because my mom taught me how to make a lot of traditional Vietnamese food. Yeah. So I know how to do some, and I also bring some like special ingredients here. So I can still make them. Like, for example, I make spring roll a lot. Like,
yes.
I'm going to make spring roll for you guys this Friday. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Also, I do want to talk about what is happening on Friday and what is like about Friday basically. But before that, to not go too far away from the blog.
Yeah, okay.
The other thing that you mentioned on the blog, which I really like, is that you speak about how being an international student or coming to a country far away from your own, it really teaches you what adulting means. And it really it hits you sometimes because you write about how one day you'll wake up and you will realize that you don't have anyone to care for, at this moment in your geographical space. Like, of course, there are people who care for you, but there's no one really here to care for you.
Yeah.
And it's something that does hit you hard sometimes.
Yeah, I think, like, to me, when I first came here, because I start in the summer semester, so it was so hard to get friends at that time.
Because everyone's away.
Yeah, there's no one.
Yeah.
And I only have, like, one friend. Actually, like, two at first, but then one dropped out.
Ouch, that's mean.
I know, right? And, like, I only have one friend left, and she's, like, all my friend here. And so...
But this was back, not now, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Oh,
no,
now
I have
because
a lot of friends.
yeah.
You're my friend.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Yep. I know you want me to say that, but it's okay. Yeah. So I think like the hardest thing is that when you came here, and at first, of course, you very like the freedom you got.
Yeah.
It's like no one care about like what time you go to sleep or what time do you eat or what time you wash your dishes. But but there's some people care about that.
Your roommates?
Yeah. But I mean, like sometimes when you go home, even late, there's no one who worry about you. Yeah. And I think like to some people, especially very young age as me, because I'm only 19. But yeah, so like when at that time I felt very sad because I think like I don't know, but it's just like the beginning.
Yeah.
But the thing is that I learned about this is like it's okay to feel sad at some point.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other opportunities.
Yeah.
And it takes time for you to get to that point. So like it just like take it easy.
Yeah.
Don't be too
Don't
strict
be too
to
hard.
yourself.
Yeah.
And everything will come and turn out fine.
Yeah, and that's these experiences that you talk about, and also the experiences that you write about. I like your blog also because you're a good writer, but mostly because they are experiences that I connect to. Mm-hmm. And everything that you just said right now is that at start it was the independence is great, but that also comes with the fact that sure, no one will care about what time you sleep. But that's also a bad thing because like no one cares about what time you sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
It's like no one's there to tell you anything, which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, at the start it is difficult. I found it difficult. And if someone as cool and awesome as me can find it difficult, no, sorry. But it was difficult at the start, and then it gets better.
Yeah.
Dive into opportunities, get yourself involved into whatever you're passionate about or you like, and things will be better.
Yeah, that's right.
Now coming back to what is on Friday.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about what's on Friday?
Yeah, so like actually we didn't plan anything yet because I just submitted all my assignment yesterday.
No, but what's happening on Friday?
Okay,
because people don't know what's happening on Friday.
That's true. Oops, sorry. So we means Brisbane International Student Ambassadors.
All of us.
2018 are going to have a party this Friday. Because I'm leaving Brisbane this Sunday.
Okay, that's...
You're not sad.
It's
oh my
so
gosh,
sad.
why? Why I need to say this?
I know. I when I asked you about Friday, I was like, hey, this will be a fun conversation, and then I got really sad suddenly. I'm like, okay, but yeah,
it's okay. I will come back.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I'm going exchange next year, so that's why we have to have a farewell party.
Yeah.
Before
basically, we're saying bye to you temporarily because you're going to Vietnam. Mm-hmm. And here's the interesting part. After Vietnam, you're going to an exchange.
Yeah. I will go to a short-term program in India for 3 weeks. And then I will come to, like, particularly Mumbai.
Yes.
Yeah, it's his city.
That's what I'm really excited about. Like, because last year I went to almost the same time as you. I went to Mumbai, but just last year. And this year I'm not going because I got a summer scholarship.
Okay.
It's not that bad. It's nice, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
You get paid a little.
Yeah, so that's good.
That's good, yeah. So, but that's why I'm not going this year. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy because you're going. So in a way, I feel like I'm also kind of going because like I'll see what you're doing. I'll see like what's happening, and I'll talk to you, and I'll help you with what to do and everything. And it'll kind of be like I'm fulfilling my dreams via you.
Okay,
which is such an Asian thing to do, you know.
I know. Yeah. Oh my god.
So, yeah, that'll be fun. That you're sadly you're going, but on a happy end that you're going to my city, and I get the opportunity of not only helping you get the best experience in my city, a city that I genuinely love a lot.
Okay.
And I'm very, very passionate about my city.
But I can see that.
But the other aspect of it is that I can also hear back from you about what you thought about my city, because till now, I haven't really had an opportunity to get an objective experience or objective perception of my city. Anyone who I can really ask about Mumbai are just people I know in Mumbai, and they're not going to be very unbiased, because it's also their city.
They were born there.
Yeah, but for the first time, there's someone who's going from outside, who's going to Mumbai, but then also coming back to Brisbane to talk to me about what they felt and what they thought. And I'm very excited,
Same. I'm so excited for that.
It's going to be great. You like seafood, right?
Yeah,
You're going
to
lose it. Yeah.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Okay, I'm so excited.
I might just sometimes please post. I never ask people to post more stuff on social media because I'm also a little anti-social media sometimes. And I feel that people do it too much sometimes. You don't need 7...
Like me.
No, not you, but
No, I did a lot.
I'm just saying that people don't need to... Your life can't be that interesting that you have 10 to 12 stories to put in 1 hour. How? No. But you definitely put as many stories as you want when you're in Mumbai, because I will see all of them.
Okay.
And send me as many photos as you want. I'll be very happy.
Yeah, I will.
And also because you mentioned last time that the weather that you prefer is cold but not too cold, which is what Brisbane gave you all these years up till now. Now summer's starting, so it's good you're going.
Yeah.
However, the place that you're going back to is going to be just like the weather that you experienced 2 months back.
That's so good.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, oh my god, I love the weather.
It's going to be amazing,
Yeah, that's really good.
And so, on a closing note, I normally ask people about their perceptions of India and all of that. But that is something that I will follow up on when you come back from Mumbai, because I think you'll have a more informed answer because you will have seen an entire city for a month or two.
Okay.
But what I will ask is that in Brisbane, again, on a sad tone, you're leaving, but also on a happy tone, what has been your best memory in this city?
Wow. This is a hard question.
It is. That's why it's the last question.
Okay. So, okay, so I think one of the best thing I have here is you guys.
Okay, come on.
No, it's not that cheesy, but I mean when I first come to take part in the Brisbane International Student Ambassador Program, I didn't expect that much because I used to take part in a lot of events and come to networking events, so I just expect it something similar than that, like that. But then because we have a lot of events and then we have to meet each other a lot, so it's just the way to make it get closer. And I really have very good friends from the program.
Yeah, I'm glad that we are a family now, and it's all amazing.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a really nice answer, and I'm glad that we are all, and this experience that we are all sharing is one of the happiest, nicest things that you've experienced, and I'm really, I'm grateful, and I'm also thankful for that, because I share the same thing.
Yeah.
So thanks so much. This is an amazing podcast. I can't wait to again talk to you when you come back.
Okay.
And I also can't wait for you to come back because we'll miss out on you.
Yeah. I know, right? I'll miss you guys so much.
Same. No, I mean it. I'm really. It's hard for me to be expressive, but same.
Okay.
Same to you.
Yep.
So thanks so much.
No
and
worries.
This was a fun podcast. I hope that this is interesting for you.
Yeah. I have a very good time.
Yeah, and I hope this is also interesting for the listeners. Who, by the way, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
And thanks, Minh Ha.
No worries.
I'll see you guys next time. If you like this, then I guess like it, or
subscribe my blog.
Oh yeah, please. I'll put down the link for Minh Ha's blog. Please go give it a read. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you guys next time.